All right, Jack, what do we got?
So it's a water cooler episode. So first, I hope you brought your beverage.
Yeah, I
I
did.
got black cherry sparkling water. But next, I wanted to talk to you. I had a call with a problem somebody was experiencing with cold outreach, and it
I, I,
boiled
I
down
would say
to
he dialed the right person.
okay, thank you. Yes. No, but it boiled down to this. How do you buy back your time with cold outreach?
In
And
what way?
here's what was going on. They quit their job 3 months ago, and he started a consultancy.
Hmm.
It's basically a consulting practice that at the moment was surviving on two clients, getting by. And he told me, he's like, look, every day I do cold outreach, mostly cold email. And he said, I just, I find that I don't have enough time to do a bunch of other sales and marketing efforts.
Sure.
But when I stop doing cold outreach, my lead pipeline dries up. And so I'm kind of trapped. Every day I have to be in there, kind of like checking things, adding prospects, uh, testing things here and there. But he told me for the most part, it works.
Mm.
But when I asked him, how do, like, what does it look like to get to the next level? He was stuck because he's like, chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
I need to not be spending 3 hours a day in my outreach tools, but I can't afford to hire a full-time salesperson. So what the heck do I do? What is my first and
Mm.
second step to getting free? Um, knowing that I don't have this huge budget to just, oh, he, I, like sharing a bit too much. He wasn't a good fit for the agency because he didn't have the budget. So I gave him some different advice, and I'd be curious what you might have said.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. So let me try to rephrase things. So we basically have a consultant who is spending most of his time doing the outreach himself, and he doesn't really see how that scales to make it like a proper company instead of a one-man show, right?
There you go.
Right. So
There
what
you
are the
go. He
steps?
felt trapped.
Yeah, no, of course, of course.
Mm,
As soon as we realize, actually, we do feel trapped when we're in those situation. I experienced that myself. How about we
yeah.
set 10
Mm.
minutes? Otherwise, this episode is
Thank
gonna
you, Jeremy.
last 2
Yeah.
hours.
I love it. We
All
need
right,
that timer. Put on
cool.
the timer.
There you go.
Okay. So I think back to Perry Marshall's 80/20 sales and marketing as
Mhm.
like, what was I really saying to the guy? It was distilled in that book, which is, um, like, how do you give yourself a raise? You work on more valuable problems.
Right.
Okay. Now, there was a period in this young consultant's career where solving cold outreach was paramount, was a true $1,000 per hour task.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, once he cracked that, and he basically said for every, it was kind of high. It was like for every 700 prospects that he reached out to, he got like one really great qualified sales opportunity. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not
Not
awesome, but
ideal. It's not the
let's say it
one
was
per
400.
15 for 15,000
Yeah.
that we talked about.
Right. Let's say it was even better. Let's say it was like 1 out of 400. Okay,
All
that he
right.
gets a great sales opportunity.
Cool.
I kind of told him, I was like, look, you've made a milestone achievement by getting there, and it no longer requires your special skill set, your brain to be worried about that right now. Yes, you could fine tune and optimize it down to every 200 prospects, etc. But I, I kind of recommended him to stop being the guy that is trying to fine tune that machine at this point. Is that smart? Would you have done the same?
Probably, but I would have probably presented it slightly differently, yeah, if you allow me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I would more take it from the point of E-Myth Revisited. And in fact, when I felt in this situation, that's a book I read and it hit me so hard, which is basically you as a human will design the system of the machine, and then you will find people to actually operate that workflow.
Technician.
Yes, exactly. And so if you think about it, the prospecting thing that he's doing for him is probably like one big thing, like, oh, I'm getting leads, I'm adding them to my campaigns, and then I'm, closing. It sounds odd to me that he's talking about like, hey, I don't have time or money to buy someone to close things. Like, he should be doing the close thing and basically, outsource some of the lower tasks that he doesn't even probably register is in mind, because like, oh, it's easy, I can do it in 5 minutes or whatever. But that's exactly the thing that he needs to outsource, create the system and outsource all those things. And then the sale is the last thing to outsource. So you should have everything already working. And then when you have like too many calls or like, demo calls or whatever, then that's when you actually look to get someone else, right? Does that sound clear?
It's perfect. It's perfect. Now, I don't know how water coolery this is, but I want to try and put down like some steps. So I think step one is use your, $1,000 per hour brain to build an outreach system.
Right. And you already have it, right? He has it.
He already has it.
It's not like if he's, doing it from scratch. I mean, the fact that it worked is already a point that, okay, well, let's scale that,
There you go. Now, here's what's fun is like, notice how I didn't tell him like, oh, great. The first thing you need to do is pay a consultant to help you set it up. Like, I think if you have a hard time knowing who to contact and getting them to care, you got bigger fish to fry than finding a good consultant to help you fine tune things. Okay. But he's already got to that level. And then here's the next thing I told him. I was like, congratulations, you yourself. Let's call it a decent cold emailer, got to the point where your campaigns are making money.
Yeah.
What I then suggested was like, look, if cash is really tight, the next best thing you need to do is just pay an expert to look at what you've done and fix the gaps that are between where you are and true best practice, so that you can maybe 2x how efficient it is. Okay. Do not hire an agency yet. Right? Not if you're really strapped for cash, not yet. What I would then do, and here's the 2 steps I want to check with you on, is once you've had an expert fix what was wrong and made it almost twice as effective, now you need to pay a technician. Call it $20 an hour. If you're willing to spend time training that technician, you can save money and walk away a bit from the outreach process. Is that good or bad?
Oh, I probably wouldn't qualify it as good or bad, but I will say that's one way. I'd probably put all the system in place before trying to optimize each of those parts. So, there's 2 ways. There's either you're sort of like extending capacity, like you're adding a new thing to your process, and then now you actually have to manage more things, or you actually just have someone to replace some of the tasks you're doing, and then you're freeing time, and then you can think of doing other things. Definitely 100%, I would go and favor the thing of freeing your time, because it's amazing that suddenly when you got your brain starting to think about things, then you can actually address some stuff. So I will immediately find someone who replicate my process to find leads. And if I have a process well written and so on, that shouldn't really be that complicated, right?
Right.
And then the second thing is I would
use a Loom video of you doing it.
Yeah, that's
the easiest
perfect.
Basic thing.
Yeah, 100%. So do a Loom video and then get like 3 people. Honestly, you shouldn't need to spend more than $100 for just a test. Like, you spend maybe $20 on 5 people, and you figure out which one do you like most working with and which one is actually leading to the best results. That's your 1-2 weeks, let's call it maximum a month's try. And after 1 month, you got someone who can, handle the prospecting side.
Okay.
That's what I would
think
do.
That's amazing. Now, we're on the same page. I want to go one step further. Okay. Once someone has stepped in and now saving this person 2 hours a day.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
He asked me, okay, well, what should I be doing with that extra time if I got it? What do you Now, he was just like this. He's like, look, like, I'm doing everything. It wasn't priority, wasn't clear at that point.
Yeah.
I'll share what I told him and then check me, but
sure.
It would come back to, what is your special skill set of knowledge enabling you to do that nobody else in your world can come close to? And I said, find what that is and do that for 2 extra hours a day. And I was like, being concrete, maybe that looks like joining podcasts that are dealing with the topic of your consultant prospect. Maybe it is, I hate to use this word, but like networking in a very
efficient way.
intentional way that will get you in front of end buyers. Think through those kind of activities. Is that okay, great, now go do this?
Well, that's a good advice, but that's probably not the advice I would give, actually, because a lot of people, including myself, has a trouble to figure out, like, what am I like uniquely special about, or like so good about, because they think that
it's almost a bad question.
Yes, exactly. Right. So instead, what I would say is that, I mean, I met this problem myself. Like before QuickMail, I was doing everything manually. Like we are talking 2013, right? So I was like going in, having my list of 30 prospects I wanted to contact each day, seeing who didn't actually reply. You know, I had like 2 hours every morning, because then I had my full-time job, but 2 hours every morning to do that. And out of the 2 hours, 1.5 hours were just dedicated to just doing the outreach. And then half an hour to do a call, you know, with a prospect. And as soon as I did QuickMail, turns out from 1.5 hours to 30 seconds. And I'm not cheating you, right? It's just like that drastic. And I remember the first 2 days we were like, what do I do now? Because I was so used to actually spend all that time doing this. It's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. So I know the feeling very well. But what I would say is simply, you just look at the next thing. Like, purely, like, you don't have to suddenly think, I believe, like, you don't have to suddenly think like, okay, what am I good at? I'm going to start networking or stuff like that. I think it's still too soon. You basically you have your process, your workflow to get leads up to potential customers. So it's the straight line in a sense. And then you basically go one after the other. And as you're doing this, you start outsourcing this and this and this, and then you start having more and more time. And that's really when you can start then looking at the system and say, okay, let's try to improve the conversion from the lead. Maybe 700 is not good enough. Let me try to find like a copywriter that could help. We'll do an A/B test. And that is really where your value added is to look at the whole chain and being able to zoom in and say, this is a problem I'm going to solve this month.
Right.
Look at that. This is the new objective. Rather than like trying to find, it's a bit like, you know, find your passion or like find, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's always like find the next most valuable problem.
Yes, 100%. Right. And then if you keep on doing that, then obviously your value will grow by itself, because now, you know, you're looking at a whole system that works. Now you're looking at doing the demos yourself. Now you're looking at overseeing the people who do the demo, and then naturally it will grow. Right. You know, I don't think you need to figure out like, what's my unique thing here. I think it may be counterintuitive or counterproductive.
Yeah. So you kind of get rid of the inaction through paralysis
100%
issue. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then look, if you keep at that in a couple months, it's very likely that the situation will be drastically different. You may actually be in a point where cash flow is not an issue, and you can afford to put more resources buying either technological advantages or maybe human capital or whatever that's going to continue to make things easier and better and faster for you. But I think that's a solid answer to the question of how do you buy back your time for cold outreach?
Yeah. I had another idea as well, which I forgot. So it's too bad. At what point do you think they need to then go and call an agency, if they need it at all?
It depends what that current problem set is. It could be that it's just annoying to keep finding reliable freelancers, right? And so that may be something worth solving through an agency. But if your internal team is getting it done, they're getting it done, and can count yourself lucky, because you probably arrived there through mostly a great strategy. Like you knew the market, you sold them something they needed, and you figured out how to put it all together and have a technician run it for you. That's really the hard thing. If you can crack that, maybe an agency might be irrelevant. But
oh, I remember what I wanted to say. It's like sometime on QuickMail, we have people that are too successful. And so basically they figured out the beginning of their thing, and then after that they have like too many booking meetings, and so they pause
Right.
their campaign. Like,
Yeah.
man, it's like, can't you just get more salespeople, or like find like solving the fulfillment part instead of actually, you know, stopping, putting a
Oh
break
my
on the
gosh.
beginning? But yeah,
You know,
man.
Jeremy, I wish that surprised me, but we have clients that I mean, it's almost like when we do a great job, it shoots us in the foot because the
That's
client's like,
right.
hey, we're swamped. Oh my gosh, I'll get back to you and like give us like 2 months to chew through these. Like, okay, I'm happy for them. It's a good case study.
That's right.
But there's a balance to how good you want to be in a weird way. But of course, that's a good problem to have. Jeremy, this was our most tactical water cooler
That's
conversation.
true, actually. This
Yeah.
was very tactical. Yeah. Well, if you
Yeah.
have more questions, shoot us an email, podcast@quickmail.io. We don't
There you go.
guarantee we're going to answer, but at least it may lead to another podcast. So
There you go. That's right. And check out course.quickmail.io or salesspread.com or quickmail.com for more goods. And Jeremy, thanks.
thanks, Jack. Awesome.
See ya.
Oh, it's something. I need to close the app first before I can press stop.
Okay.